Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Before I Go podcast. I know that you could be doing anything else right now, and the fact that you have chosen to listen to me does not go unnoticed. So, again, thank you. I've been thinking a lot about mountains and molehills lately. You remember the saying, making a mountain out of a molehill, which essentially means that you're blowing things out of proportion. Way out of proportion. That is not to say that your feelings aren't valid. Your feelings are your feelings. But wouldn't you agree that sometimes, just sometimes, we may, see a mountain when we are actually looking at a molehill? Be honest. Every year I get a physical, and every year I have blood drawn, and every year I get bunched up in knots over the blood draw because I hate needles. And every year, it's never as bad as I make it out to be. I barely feel the needle anymore. Mountains out of molehills. Or overreactions, reacting to what most people would consider a simple situation as if it were not a simple situation. Getting cut off in traffic and following the person with the intention of causing them harm would be an overreaction. What causes some people to overreact to certain situations? And why do these same situations seemingly have no effect on others? I did a little research, and Jennifer Kunst, a clinical psychologist and psychoanalyst in Pasadena, California, had an interesting analogy regarding how molehills become mountains. She says, physically speaking, a molehill becomes a mountain when an animal takes dirt from somewhere and piles it on somewhere else. Psychologically speaking, if we think metaphorically, making a mountain out of a molehill essentially is a massive displacement of psychological dirt from one place to another. We consciously dig up dirty issues from one significant area of our lives and pile them onto something far more innocuous. In other words, the thing that we're overreacting to, it's not about that thing at all. It's just easier to deal with the small issue in a big way than to actually deal with the real big issue. It's the person who has a horrible day at work and comes home and screams at their partner because they didn't bring the trash cans back to the side of the house. Clearly, it's not about the trash cans. Overreactions are dangerous, and because many of us have a hard time communicating what we are feeling when we are feeling it, small things turn into big things for seemingly no reason. Some of us believe that if we ignore something, it will just go away. Nothing could be further from the truth. If you have an issue and you choose not to address it, it does not go away. It festers. It grows. It's going to come out one way or another. Now, I like to use myself as an example when discussing these things because honestly, who else am I going to use? Anyway, I have a few examples when I made a mountain out of a molehill. The first example was when, and I've told this story before, when my first husband left my infant son alone with his 10 and 8-year-old children while he went to do laundry or something. When I arrived, I found my son with dirty feet, a dirty diaper, and strawberry milk in his bottle. First of all, my son's feet were never dirty when he was with me. Secondly, I never gave him sugar, like ever. I saw red. I packed up my kid and brought him to my parents' house. And when I spoke to my ex later, I was screaming at the top of my lungs. And this was the first and only time when I felt like I could have literally taken a human life. Or was it really about the dirty feet and strawberry milk? Of course not. Our issues went way deeper than that, and I never addressed them. In fact, I did not address the issues in my first marriage until after my second marriage ended. Another example was actually when my second marriage ended. On the surface, it appears as though I ended that marriage because my ex mishandled our money. Again, it wasn't really about that. That was the straw that broke the camel's back, but I had never addressed the other straws leading up to the final one. Overreactions can be dangerous, but how can we stop them before it gets to that point? One way is to communicate your feelings when they're at a 1 instead of waiting until you get to a 10. Now, this is good advice, but what about if the person doesn't hear what you're saying when you're at a 1? Well, to that I say, you are only responsible for what you do. You cannot control another person's reaction when you speak your truth, and don't let their anticipated or perceived reaction hinder you from saying what you need to say. Say it with me. What you have to say is valid. Another effective way to stop an overreaction is to remember the acronym STOP. S-T-O-P. The S, literally stop. T, take a breath. And this step is crucial and so helpful. Just take a breath. Take 2 if you have to. The act of breathing and focusing on the breath will actually help you to calm down. If you've ever given birth, you know it's true. At least it was for me. The O, observe the situation from a rational, objective place. And the P, proceed. You stop, take a breath, observe the situation, then proceed. Overreactions have the power to disturb your peace. They have definitely disturbed my peace in the past and caused me to make major decisions when my emotions were on a 10. Don't do it. Stop, take a breath, observe, and then proceed. Well, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for listening. But before I go, let me share this with you from St. Francis de Sales. Never be in a hurry. Do everything quietly and in a calm spirit. Do not lose your inner peace for anything whatsoever, even if your whole world seems upset. I'll see you next time.